They say if you hear footsteps at midnight but see no one behind you, run. Because Ogbunabali walks not with men, but among their sins. For centuries, in the dead of night, whispers travel across the dusty compounds of Igbo land. Whispers of a dark spirit cloaked in silence, who strikes down the wicked and vanishes without a trace. This being needs no shrine, no offering, no priest. He walks, he sees, he judges. His name is Ogbunabali, the one who kills at night. And when Ogbunabali marks a soul, not even the strongest dibia, priest, can undo what fate has already sealed. But where did this feared entity come from? What is his purpose? And how does his presence continue to haunt the collective memory of the Igbo people? To understand that, we must go back, long before the missionaries, before the guns and trains, back to the time when every tree had a spirit, and every shadow held a god. So, sit back, because this is African Myths Unveiled. Before we dive deeper into the story, I have a quick question for you. I know that many of you are tuning in from different parts of the world, all united by a love for African mythology. So, I'd love to reconnect. Drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from. I'll be in the comment section engaging with you. And if you're enjoying the content, a like and subscription would mean the world to me. All right, let's get back to the story. In the time of old, before colonial incursion, the Igbo worldview was rich with gods and spirits. Their world was balanced between the physical and spiritual realms, connected by rituals, taboos, and ancestral reverence. Among the many deities, like Amadioha, the god of thunder, or Allah, the earth goddess, one name was spoken only in whispers: Ogbunabali. Unlike other deities who demanded worship, Ogbunabali demanded only justice. He was not worshipped in the open. No grand shrines stood in his honor. His followers, if you could even call them that, were the shadows themselves. His temple, the silence of midnight, his voice, the chill that climbs your spine. Ogbunabali, in Igbo cosmology, was not evil. He was not a devil. He was balance, retribution, an unseen blade in a world where wrongdoing often hid behind masks of power. It was believed that Ogbunabali emerged from the very fabric of cosmic justice, born from the cries of innocent blood spilled without atonement. Whenever a man shed blood unlawfully and failed to make the proper sacrifices or face judgment, the gods would send Ogbunabali. He didn't speak. He didn't warn. He simply marked and then returned in the night to collect. When Ogbunabali marks you, old men would say while stoking the fire, your breath becomes numbered like grains of sand slipping through a dying hand. Long ago, in the village of Amaozara, lived a man named Okeke. Outwardly, he was a palm wine tapper, simple, quiet, respected. But behind the kind eyes lay a secret buried in blood. One fateful year, when the harvest was thin and envy thickened like morning dew, Okeke had lured his younger brother, Ifeanyi, into the forest under the guise of collecting medicinal bark. There, with trembling hands and darkened heart, he struck him down with a machete, twice. He told the villagers that his brother had gone missing. He wept convincingly, offered yams at the shrine, and even joined the search party. Only the forest trees knew the truth, and they whispered. But Ogbunabali had heard. That night, Okeke slept soundly, believing his crime buried like his brother's bones. But as midnight crept in, the silence grew too loud. The dogs stopped barking. The wind stood still. Then he heard it. Tap, tap, tap. Footsteps, slow, deliberate. No one should be outside at that hour. Okeke's chest tightened. He bolted the door. He whispered his prayers. But the footsteps grew louder. Then, nothing. Until he heard his name, whispered like a gust through dried leaves. "Okiki!" He jumped from his mat, drenched in sweat. The door creaked open by itself. A gust of wind blew out his oil lamp, and in the darkness, he saw nothing. But he felt everything. Fear, guilt, judgment. By morning, Okiki's corpse was found, sprawled on his threshold. No wound, no blood. Just a look of terror carved into his stiffened face, and a single black feather clenched in his hand. The village elder, Inzeobi, picked up the feather and nodded grimly. Ogbunabali has passed. But Okiki's death was only the beginning, because what no one knew was that his crime had awakened something deeper, an ancient vengeance that had been silent for generations. And now, Ogbunabali was walking again, not just for one man, but for an entire village with secrets buried in the soil. After Okiki's mysterious death, the villagers of Amaozura grew uneasy. They did not speak his name. They avoided the path to his compound, but most of all, they avoided the forest, especially the old Iroko tree near the stream, because that's where Ifeanyi's restless spirit was said to linger. Strange things began happening. Fires refused to light properly at night. Mortar and pestle wouldn't pound yam unless salted with a prayer. Even goats refused to go near the edge of the forest. Then one evening, a young boy named Chidi returned from fishing and told the villagers something that chilled their bones. "I saw a tall man with no face standing under the blood tree." The blood tree was what the locals called the ancient Iroko, near the stream. A tree so old and wide it took 4 men to hug it fully. Its bark oozed red sap, like thick blood. And some said that the roots beneath it were not just roots, but the bones of those who had vanished without justice. The elders gathered. Nze Obi, the village seer, rubbed chalk on his forehead and cast his cowries. The message was clear. Ogbunabali was still walking, but now, he wasn't just hunting, he was remembering. You see, Ogbunabali was not just a spirit of random vengeance. He was born from an old betrayal, a long-forgotten tale of a warrior named Ogunna, centuries ago, who was wrongly accused of killing a rival during a land dispute. Stripped of his honor and condemned by jealous chiefs, Ogunna vanished into the forest. But before he died, he swore by the spirits, "Let my bones become the eyes of justice. Let my soul never rest until the wicked sleep with open eyes." Some say the Iroko tree grew where Ogunna's body lay. Others say Chukwu took pity on his soul and transformed him into Ogbunabali, a god who would punish those whose crimes escaped man's reach. And so, every so often, when lies outweighed truth and the innocent cried unheard, Ogbunabali would rise again. 2 moons after Okiki's death, another man fell. This time, it was Obiajulu, the wealthiest yam merchant in Amaozara, found lifeless in his barn, mouth open, eyes wide, no struggle, just that same eerie black feather on his chest. People whispered, some said it was witchcraft, others knew better. Obiajulu was rumored to have sent hired charms to eliminate a rival years ago. The rival died of mysterious illness. No one proved it, no one tried, until now. It became clear, Ogbunabali wasn't finished. The elders performed midnight sacrifices. They pleaded at ancestral shrines. Drummers played till dawn. But nothing stopped the deaths. And the strange part, it wasn't just old crimes being avenged. It was as if Ogbunabali was peeling back the very soul of the village, layer by layer, unearthing secrets even the earth had tried to forget. One night, a widow named Mama Njideka claimed she saw a shadow crouched on her rooftop, whispering her late husband's name. When the villagers checked, the roof was clean, but her dog had died, lying frozen with its eyes staring into nothing. He walks above us now, Mamanjidika whispered, "Even the roofs are not safe." With each death, the village drew closer to collapse. Friends suspected friends, brothers watched brothers, and all eyes turned to the forest. Until one night, a hunter named Ezenwa vanished. But he wasn't guilty. He was innocent. And that was the first time the villagers realized maybe Ogbunabali wasn't just judging the past. Maybe he was testing the living. The disappearance of Ezenwa, the young hunter, sent a ripple of dread through Amaozara. Ezenwa was no murderer. He was a kind-hearted orphan, raised by the village. He shared his meat with elders. He cared for the sick. If Ogbunabali had taken him, then something had changed. Something had gone wrong. Or had it? The village gathered beneath the great Udala tree, murmuring questions like wind in dry grass. Nze Obi, the eldest and wisest, stood before them holding his staff of justice. A smooth piece of sacred wood said, to carry the memory of the land. He raised his voice. Ogbunabali does not kill without cause. If Ezenwa is gone, then either we are blind or we are being tested. Silence. Let no one walk the forest tonight. Let the drums remain silent. We must seek understanding, not escape. But Ezenwa was not dead. He awoke in a place between light and shadow, a ghostly version of Amaozara, where the trees whispered in strange tongues and the rivers flowed in reverse. He walked among spirits who did not look at him, but murmured riddles of pain and truth. He was in Ogbunabali's realm, the trial of shadows. A deep voice echoed through the trees, without form or shape. Ezenwa, do you carry blood on your hands? No, he whispered, trembling. Then carry the memory of those who do. From the mist, shadows of the villagers emerged, each bearing a different crime. Okeki, Obiajulu, others whose crimes were never known. But among them stood another figure, Ezenwa's father, a man the village believed had died in war. But here, he stood silently, his face shadowed, holding a machete stained with a past never spoken of. Your father's sins echo in your blood, the voice said. But I am not him, Ezenwa cried. Then show me who you are. At that moment, a red-eyed creature leapt from the shadows, a twisted form of Ogbunabali's wrath. It attacked. Ezenwa ran, stumbled, bled, but he never stopped fighting. Finally, breathless, he fell before the great Iroko tree, the same one that marked the god's origin. He pressed his palm to the bark, and just as the creature lunged again, everything went still. He awoke on the forest floor at dawn, alive. The villagers found him by the stream, his chest marked with a black handprint over his heart, but no wound. He had been spared. Nze Obi interpreted it. Ogbunabali had tested Ezenwa, not for guilt, but for willingness to face truth. He had entered the realm of judgment and returned. The people now understood. Ogbunabali was not just punishing the past. He was warning the present. Every generation must decide, will they continue the cycle of silence and secrets, or will they cleanse themselves before the god returns again? But that night, as peace seemed to settle, a chilling discovery shattered the calm. A shrine deep in the forest, long abandoned, was found disturbed. Footprints in ash, blood on stone, a carving of Ogbunabali's name scratched in reverse. Someone had tried to summon him, someone alive. This wasn't just divine judgment anymore. It was manipulation. For generations, the people of Amaozara feared Ogbunabali, but no one dared speak of controlling him, until now. Word spread of a secretive man named Duru, a former Dibia cast out by the elders for forbidden rituals. He lived in exile near the edge of the forest, always seen with black beads, red chalk, and a raven that never left his shoulder. It was Duru, who disturbed the shrine. It was Duru who scratched Ogbunabali's name backwards, a forbidden act meant to reverse the god's gaze and turn it upon command. Duru was not looking for justice. He was seeking power. He had lost his only son to a wrongful accusation, and burning rage twisted his heart. In his mind, if the gods would not listen, he would make them listen. One moonless night, Duru performed the forbidden rite known only to the ancient Dibia of the lost clan of Udene. Using grave dust, a broken mirror, and the blood of an owl, he whispered the spell. "Come, Ogbunabali, I do not fear you. I will guide your hand." The forest went silent. The raven screamed, and then the wind spoke back. The hand that points at death must also touch the grave. Duru vanished that night. The next morning, his compound was found flattened, as if crushed by an invisible force. In the ashes, all that remained was a black feather and a cracked mirror that reflected nothing, not even light. But that wasn't the end. Every night following Duru's disappearance, the village of Amaozara would hear strange cries from the forest, not of beasts, but of voices, names being called out, secrets being shouted into the wind. Old crimes long buried rose like smoke from the earth. One night, the sky turned red, and Unze Obi, the village elder, had a final vision. He gathered the villagers and said, "Ogbunabali has shown us what we have become. We buried truth under silence. We left the innocent to rot, while the wicked walked free. The god did not return to destroy us. He came to remind us, justice delayed is never justice denied." That night, the villagers lit fires at every compound. They wrote down old secrets, confessed ancient crimes, and burned them beneath the Udala tree. For the first time in living memory, they did not beg Ogbunabali to leave. They thanked him for coming. And then, silence. No more feathers. No more unexplained deaths. No more shadows dancing on rooftops. But the Iroko tree still stands. And when the moon is just right, some say it weeps. Not blood, but memory. Ogbunabali, the silent god of death, is not just a terrifying figure in Igbo mythology. He is a powerful symbol of justice, especially in societies where the law fails or truth is silenced. His legend teaches that no crime, no matter how deeply buried, escapes the attention of the spiritual world. In many African cultures, particularly in Igbo tradition, justice isn't just a human responsibility. It is cosmic. It's deeply tied to morality, ancestry, and balance. The story of Ogbunabali reminds us that when humans fail to protect the innocent, the gods themselves may intervene. But beware, divine justice has no favorites. It comes silently, and it walks at night. If this story gave you chills or made you see African mythology in a new light, give this video a thumbs up. Let's keep our culture alive. Drop a comment below and tell me, which African myth should I explore next? And of course, subscribe to the channel for more untold legends, mysterious gods, and ancient stories that still shape who we are today. Until next time, remember, some gods speak, others judge in silence.